Hi, you guys. It's MJ from All to Love. I'm trying to be a little bit quiet this morning so as not to disturb the people in my environment, although I usually just wake people up. It's just what happens. Okay, so today I want to talk about what it means for us as humans to live in a false economy and how over generations it's come about, how, in an intellectual level, the history. So the historical, as in how and why has this come to be, doesn't actually matter. That is just another way to kind of distract and confuse us from the present moment. And ultimately, all it does is math, like create layers of stories, um, rather than just being in the presence of our truth and our heart field now. Um, so recognize that a false economy, and by false, we call it, and Kurt Mill would testify, we call it like a debt-based economy because the economy as it is serves as a way. Well, it's the economy as it is as far as we're aware, like a means of our survival. And yet, when you trace back the economy, I'd recommend watching Peter Joseph's Zeitgeist or go to Culture and Decline and have a look at some of his really cool and really simple documentaries and cartoons around how this economy that we're living in has come about. And ultimately, you have to understand that a debt based economy is based on giving with interest to someone who doesn't have enough. So you can see it's based on poverty and enslavement. But then, how does some people not have enough? If you think about the original humans in interacting, it's that if we're all here together as one and we share and then we move through into separation consciousness, it's like I have this and I took it from the planet, or like, I have this tree, I took it from the planet. You're like, oh my god, I don't have one of those trees. You're like, well, I could give you one, but then after I give you this tree, you're gonna have to give me two extras, right? So we fat debt, falseness. So like that interest piece or debt piece is ultimately what's fucking us up, what's fucking us over. Because we can't ever, that is essentially creating non existent currency. And so the whole like currency is false. It just doesn't have any legs to stand on in as far as like trying to look after one another and the planet. It doesn't. It's a corrupted motherboard, because we have a very few that dictate who gets what based on their ruling agenda. And then that's where privilege comes in. And most of us here are of the privileged few. Most white people, that's false as well. But a lot of white people are born of privilege and, dare I say, the majority, although I'm not into like dividing us up in that way. So I'm like, privilege is really just any of us who, one, had food and shelter, two, had access to education, and I'm talking higher education, and actually just access to education as a kid. Even though now we're aware that that education system is bunk, but like, you know, we were given access. I got to go to school every day, and I got to plan my future and go to university and be important in this world. And, and there again, I'm like, what world? Be important in a world of a false economy that fucking oppresses people and enslaves people, right? It's like, who cares? Who wants to be important in that world, actually? Like people who parade all of their wealth and materiality at this point, I'm like, who? Like, um, how big is your house? How much stuff do you have? Oh my god, I should idolize you. Except no, it hurts my heart because you have all of these things and you speak of no truth. You only parade your privilege like it's something to be proud of when actually it's hurtful. Where does privilege come from? Oh, next point, divide and conquer. if we select these people and say, well, why don't we give these people a lot, and that will make them feel better, and then, you know, and then those people, if they want to ever work up to that, they're going to have to scrape and get by. But if they're shady enough, or if they're corrupted enough, they might just lead into this status, right? So it's like, and think about it. Think about it really fucking simple. How have our monarchy, so, like the Queen and King of England or whatever, of course you do. Of course, everyone does. And then the princes. And I know people maybe don't want to talk, and I'm not like demonizing or blaming and attacking these people, but I'm like, how did the monarchy or any ruling class get to be the ruling class? Watch any fucking old period dramas about the ruling classes. They fucking killed each other. They're like, "Ugh, you're not gonna take my power." Like, that's legit. And then the ruling classes would often go and dominate like the peasant folk and the village folk and burn down their villages and slaughter and torture their matriarchs and take all of their shit and then tax them for it. Be like, you're still alive. So just because you're still alive, as long as you pay your taxes, we'll let you be alive. But now you're completely traumatized by the fact that we slaughtered your village, so you are our slave. Yoink. And then this, and then hello, modern day, right? Hello, modern day. We're still going to these royal weddings like these people give a shit. And I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying they're walking a lineage which is barbaric and enslavement worthy. And so, okay, so then hence paradigm shift. I'm like, where do we go from here? Right? Where do we go from here? Oh, just fucking dig in and love each other and hope for the best, right? The thing I learned in the false education system was gratefully the heartfelt joy of expansion of knowledge, love of learning. It's true. The madness of consumerism. This is honestly what frickin' hurts my heart. They're selling babies in vending machines in Kuwait City. Like, is that for real? It weirdly doesn't like I love like some of your guys' names, Tree Hugger Dave and then Elf herself. I'm like literally picturing little like elemental fairies like frolicking around the trees and the mushrooms, and the elf I also see is like an elf fairy, as in like you're an elf, but you have wings. You have little fairy wings as well. So you're like, I don't know, it's sort of like cartoony, but it's in my mind anyway. This is a special group of people, this I know. So, oh, and that's something I just want to extend that to you. To me, you guys are all leaders of new paradigm world. And then one thing that one of you mentioned privately was about being like damn tired of all the tribes claiming to be the best tribes. And I'm like, I know. Let's not be a tribe. Let's just be ourselves and like each other and like each other even when you're in the shits. And also, like, doesn't it ever get tiring to be like, high vibe? Let's be high vibe. I'm like, it's exhausting. I'm exhausted trying to be high vibe and then shamefully running away when we're low vibe. I'm like, ugh. I'm like, I want to just be able to be a sloth. And I want to be able to cry for England. And I want to be able to cry for all the world. And I want my friends to be like, oh, there's MJ, let's hold space. Or let's just ignore her. And I'll be like, damn straight. And then we reemerge by the campfire, smoke a doobs, and hang out and watch epic movies. I mean, like, come on, it's easy stuff, right? We are have become masters. I feel this could be true. I one of my earliest blogs on All to Love, which obviously I would have written in like 2012 or 2013, was kind of that topic of like, how come like everyone like Einstein and Gandhi and Jesus, these guys, they had to like be special enlightened masters so that the rest of us plugging through life have to always idolize and worship these guys who reached enlightenment. And I'm like reading all this text, doing all this meditation, doing all this work, loving people with the depth of my fucking soul and heart. And like, and then still getting screwed over and denied and not listened to, and I'm like, "But I'm pretty sure, like, this is what the teaching is teaching us, like, I'm not, like, da, da, da," and then that, and I was like, "Well, maybe we've just advanced so far that there's, like, a whole bunch of us that just get it, just get the teachings and actually have the strength and the will to live the teachings, i.e. mastery." No one gets in your funk and your mastery, it's all just you doing you, yeah? They were just as we are. Oh, that literally makes me wanna cry for some reason. Hey, Jessica T. Ugh, we are all awesomeness. Um, they were just as we are. Oh, God, that just like okay. So the paradigm shift, and then hence ancestral karma to understand global healing of generational grievances. And this is going back to the privilege piece about how we in our hearts have to forgive ourselves and our ancestors. You know, especially the divide and conquer races, a lot of the privileged white races that it might not have been them directly, but it was their ancestry. It was written in their blood, to divide and conquer, to enslave. And you can see the resistance, the pushback at a whole demographic of a generation not wanting to. Black Lives Matter. Me too. It's like, oh, see, we have a while to go yet before we can acknowledge, yeah, Black lives do matter, and there is systematic oppression being targeted against these people, and it's always been that way. And for us to live in denial of that is absolute sham shambolic shambolicery. I just made up a word. We have to be able to acknowledge our historic context. We have to be able to acknowledge that a whole race of white people basically went to Africa and tortured and enslaved people to bring them over to build our shit. Like that happened. We have to acknowledge that the British people came to the Americas and enslaved and tortured and killed most of the fucking Native Americans who at this point in the journey are the ones that are protecting our water and our land. So I'm like, guys, we need to forgive ourselves and our parents and our parents' parents and our parents' parents and our parents' parents, hence karmic backlog, hence emotional healing, because this healing goes deep. This healing goes back 7, 8, 10, 12, 14 generations of us dominating and of us conquering and dividing ourselves, hence dividing up one another. Yes. And it's fascinating to me. Yes, a part of the clear and push. Yeah, I call it like the ground control vibrational cleaning crew. Ah, sweet, so beautiful, gracious love. Um, you're all here. Okay, I'm gonna randomly repeat this last line. So, like, okay, I have my notes, false economy. And the reason it's a false economy is that the economy itself is based on some people stealing what's everyone's and then making other people feel poor for taking it away and then going, don't worry, I'll sell it back to you with interest. So we made up a false, it's not real. So, and then also, um, okay, so we have the false economy, this which comes from stealing and hoarding and manipulating, which then births privilege and entitlement. And then via that privilege, to maintain the power and privilege, you have to divide and conquer everybody, which is everywhere. The divide and conquer tactic is like prevalent across a lot of false rulership economies. And then we have a paradigm shift. So the paradigm shift is like the sutras of the Aquarian age. The paradigm shift is an undeniable cosmic evolutionary leap that all of humanity is undergoing, whether we like it or not. All of the cosmos, all of the infinite reality always is always undergoing an evolution. We just happen to be living through in form, and we think of things as polarities, but it's all contained in unity. So even you could say the fall of Atlantis was an evolutionary leap for humankind. That the dissolution of Lemuria was an actual evolutionary leap for Earth. We get way too attached to our own egoic projection of human, and yet we dissolve our unity with planets, with space, with infinity, with cosmic ethereal energy. We are all of that. And yet we all like to have this knowingness. This is step 5 from the Fearless Life Guide. Surrender knowing. Stop thinking we know anything at all. I don't know anything at all. Certainly not for you. The knowingness is only ever something experienced in the feeling body. Knowingness is thought is never knowing. Thought is superfluous. Thought is an extended aspect of creation. It's a tool. It's like a paintbrush. It's not even the color in the canvas, right? It's just a tool to put color to canvas, right? Um, but thought isn't truth, and our concept of reality isn't truth, isn't inevitable truth. So my sharings or teachings here are like drop in, drop in, drop in, go deep, deep, deep till there's nothing left, till there's literally just you and the void, and then push through that, and then the tiniest nugget of inspiration or hope or faith or love in the nothingness of nothing, because that is what we are, as well as the everything, as well as the entirety of all of creation. We're unified with that as well. That's what infinity is. That's why people pushing your dogma or pushing your ideology or pushing your idea here is not it's not your place, you know? Any one of us around this whole entire planet can find a channel, can express our truth, can share our love. And that's all there is to it. But this space, this co-creative loving space is yeah, one selfishly for me to share my own perspective, my own journey, my own point of view, and it is a desired acknowledgement to hold space for all that resonate with the heart of love of humanity for this evolutionary leap. But it is not a space for more people to come in here with their knowingness and slam it down and try to make everybody else know what they know and know their truth, their singular truth. That's the world that we've come from. Conformity, singularity, all fitting into one fucking box of death and destruction so that our energy can be siphoned by a false economy. It's an illusion. It's not even fucking real, but yet we all keep buying into it and then perpetuating its truth by saying it has more power than it actually has. So as long as we continue to disengage our giving the power to this thing we call the economy, then the more you'll find your finances and your things be balanced out. And I say that with absolute grit. As time passes, I can always be an open vessel here to share with you some of the shit that I've navigated in my personal life, which could probably be like, wow, she is actually quite badass. I mean, like, yeah, I am. Ugh, ego. Ugh. But it's true because you're all badass. And sometimes I just feel the aspect of judgment. People, based on our appearance, often people put us in certain placements. You guys, I know I'll get that. And yet it's like, put someone in their place. You're like, oh no, you got me way off. I'm not caring about that. And I don't fuss about that. And I'm not that, So it's interesting to just face judgment and then come back to self always and come back to the truth. And, yeah, I've had some really interesting news in these last couple of days, which just is like the grace of God apparently taking more stuff I don't need away from me. So I'm quite grateful. At the same time, it leaves stuff up in the air, but I've got a month or so to just allow, and I'll keep you guys posted, basically. Um, Tomorrow, I'm very highly, highly likely to go live tomorrow and share some stuff with you guys. The energies, for some reason, not for some, I'm like, for some reason, out of absolutely nowhere, except that's not true. It's come from some of the astrology updates. For some reason, tomorrow, June 16th, I'm feeling this major shift. And maybe I got mine yesterday when I had a storm yesterday. It was clearing out some density. Oh, and maybe that's what I'll share about. The big storm that I had yesterday was actually around control. And I had this very visceral moment in amongst the where I was like, it is absolutely ridiculous to think that we control our reality. To think that we control our emotions, to think that we control. Mastery is different than control, by the way. Thinking that we can micromanage and control our circumstances is a futile endeavor. Because in fairness, the truth is, like, anytime we're trying to micromanage and or reacting against and then going against our external reality is yeah, the ridiculousness of it made me cry even more because I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize how much I was still trying to control my reality, whether it's through force or whether it's through my intellect or my mind." Positive thinking, positive thinking, you know? And then I'm like, "Just let go." And that's the weird polarity sometimes of contrast is that we wanna fix the issue when really our practice is to relax and go, "Okay, so that's come up. So that must not be for me. So I'm going to rearrange my perspective and figure out how I can feel really, really good, even though people are going to take stuff away from me that I was hoping I wouldn't have taken away from me. If that makes sense. Anyway, you guys, I'm winding down today. I hope that was useful. Good morning, and also, I just want to say like how much I love you. This full moon is a huge gateway. Um, I just jumped down to, well, yeah. How could you not? Full moon is a huge gateway. Emotions, craziness, running high, 100% facts. Unconstitutional love, peace, harmony for the collective. You feel me? You guys just feel me? The next 2 weeks and beyond, what shall we manifest? Gracious love. So I feel like for a lot of us, there's land, there's resources, financial support to help us navigate this next belt, this next phase of co-creation, which again for me is like land, bare feet on the ground, community, growing food, coming back to the land, but in a sustainable and kind of luxurious way, but not opulent way or certainly a gluttonous way, just a luxurious, simple way. $1 million to get a marriage certificate. Gee whiz. I follow not. I listen not to the any of the political stuff. To be honest, I find it all rather unfortunate. I'm like, because most politicians who are playing that game, that's not true as well. But on that level, I'm like, ugh, there's no. Um, anyway, everyone has their stuff to deal with. It's fair enough. So that's really good. Ooh, cool. Making homes for the homeless underground. This is the thing. I think there's so much inspiration, and like so many of us as well, we have this great heart and desire to create. And so I feel like the turnaround is really us receiving and allowing our dreams to come in, allowing our dreams to come true. And weirdly, for a lot of us, we're not necessarily even asking for much. It's just supported, feeling loved, feeling in abundance. And it's fucking weird, right? But it's all about our ability to hold and um like anchor it, like really know it, really vibrate it. And I guess maybe that's what I'll work on today is like really vibrate the knowing of the knowingness from within the cells, not the mental, but just like the safety, the like I'm safe and I'm loved and I get to have all the things I desire. It's not hard, we're allowed to have, I think about people who have lots of stuff and how they behave and how hard maybe a lot of us have been. God, I've just been so freaking hard on myself just to get to a point where I actually truly believe I'm allowed to receive enough money to survive. I'm like, holy shit. And yeah. Hey, Divine. Oh, boo, 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 boo. Missed that notification. That's so cool. It's so cool to me that you guys are like in different parts of the world getting notification or not. And it's like, MJ's going live. Hey, let's do it in. I'll be like, oh, it's for some party. We're having a party on the internet. Hi, Michelle. Yes, you. We all do make a difference. Yeah, I know. And this is like we all do. We all do in special ways. And like I forget that there are still people who just don't even know about any of this stuff, you know? That's what's weird. Is being on this journey for quite a while, I'd say, and then have it be evolving and growing and shape shifting, and then still like, I guess you could say, kind of like just having a gander back to see how the rest of humanities are doing, and everyone's just like, and or just like, ah, like people are either wired. Shh, it's kind of relevant right now. There's so much about anxiety and depression. So anxiety, like hardcore wired, or everyone's like depressed. And I would probably clump without offending people, but like I would clump in like depression, apathy, complacency. If I'm really honest with you guys, that's hitting me a fair bit in these last months, year, life. No, certainly since I got back from Indonesia at the very end of last year, I've had this real deep rest, this real like, I don't want to do anything, but I also know how I roll, and I'm like mature enough in my spiritual evolution that I'm like, okay, like I don't want to do anything. Fine. I've been sleeping a lot. I watch some astro stuff. I watch tarot because I'm now studying the tarot. Oh, watch out. Watch out, you guys. Yeah, astro tarot. I want to add that to like my vibrashe, I guess. Oh my god, I love Elf. Hilarious. I have my surfboard at the ready to ride the wave of awesomeness. Let us join. um Awesome. Oh, and also, that's just making me think of Morocco and getting people booked onto Morocco for some surfboard awesomeness. And I'm not sharing this massively publicly, but I'm going to be in Morocco for an extra couple days either side of the 5-day retreat. So I would also invite any of you transatlantic people, if you want to come out to Morocco, which would just mean you would have to only pay for like a couple of nights staying somewhere, and then actually join the retreat. So the retreat is a chunk. And then I'm pretty sure you can get really cheap accommodation for like 20 euros a night in Morocco in the area we're staying in. So if that's something you're curious or interested in, let me know. And I can make sure that those of us coming on the dates that I'm traveling, we can hook up our transport and da 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 da. Insert surfing music. Well, do you know what's really cool about Morocco as well? Is like the local people are pretty chilled. Like obviously they're all catering to the tourism, so it's like they should be. Otherwise, they're going to do really bad business. But um, what you have in this sort of eclectic is one really nice local hash. But of course, I know that's not for everybody. Not relevant. It's not like we're smoking hash and doing yoga, but I mean in the evening times. Most of you guys know I'm not a drinker, but like I've hosted retreats in Morocco where like a group of the retreat, say like the 22-year-olds, they go off to a club and they drink, they party. I think it was the second of three. We did a retreat with a group of people who they did that, and then they didn't show up to yoga the next morning, and then they just like rolled out into like breakfast mode, and we're like, ugh. It was one of those moments that make me very thankful that I don't drink booze, because they were just, it was beautiful. It was lovely. And if, I'm the kind of, I guess, holder of spacer where that's what this collective of people needed. They were young, as in the Morocco holiday, yoga holiday, would not have been fun for them if they weren't able to go out and party, if they weren't able to go out and let loose. And the hangover day was nipped in the bud as soon as we hit the sea. As soon as we went surfing, everybody felt great. So, and I just got to have my own personal practice. So yeah, basically. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel you for some reason, Elf. As in, like you're dropping in. I feel like you reached out about one, or maybe it was the paragliding one what got canceled. But yeah, just I'm thinking about timing and like installments, and the main thing for you guys, of course, would be the flight price and how much that was. That's why I think I'm doing the kind of, by the way, I'm going to be there a few days before and a few days after, where it wouldn't be retreat. It would just be us like going to the beach and chilling, and maybe going up to the yoga studio and doing a practice, but bearing in mind that I'm just there as a solo traveler, not hosting retreat outside of those dates. So we just chill. Anyway, I ramble, and I digress. Look, 15, and then just went to 16 people, and 5 thumbs up. Just like, who cares, Mom? Shut up. So I don't know why I'm showing you guys my crystals. This is a quartz crystal that I inherited via my mother. And then these are my crystals that I pretty much have by me, around me, like all the time. And they're usually at home, but when I have Airbnb guests, I bring them with me. That's amethyst. And then this is like a quartz, but do you guys know what this means? If there's like all this stuff in it? I think it maybe is like a smoky quartz or something. I ended up finding this quartz, or acquiring this quartz, when I did a road trip across the United States with my mother, and we ended up in San Francisco. We got into actually a huge fight. You can imagine, after like 3 days, like just stuck in a car with your mother, that there comes to be a point where you're just like, fuck. And then she went into like hermit mode, and I left. I gave Mom about 8 to 10 hours of alone time in the hotel, when I basically went into the Hague in San Francisco to score some pot because I needed to chill out. And so I did. And but there basically, I don't know if you guys know San Francisco, there's this area, I believe it's called the Hague. I could be tripping right now, to be honest, but it's kind of like the hippie area, which probably would have been like illegal trading of drugs, but now marijuana is legal over there. So you can literally just go into a pharmacy on the street in San Fran and pick up some pot. And there's also lots of people who sell it there. But this street, the Hague, not only was I able, the hate, is that how I say it? Hate? That sounds weird. Is to filter the smoky is to filter the energies. Amazing, interesting. Hate and Ashbury. I knew you guys would know it. So that's like the cool, or just the funky area. I'm drunk. How are you? I thought you said, I'm drunk. How drunk are you? I'm actually completely sober right now, but thank you for asking. Actually, that's kind of a lie. I'm a little bit high on the caffeine. So yeah, I went to the Haight and I found some pot, and then there was this gorgeous crystal shop. And I went into the crystal shop, and this crystal shop is also where I got my selenite. So the selenite is my like long white stick that's in my that little area in my house that I showed you, my loft area. And then I would have picked this up. It would have been Christmas, winter, like 2014, 2015, San Francisco, with the selenite and a few others that I don't remember. It's truly sad what has happened to San Fran. I don't know what has happened. So now as I'm sharing this story, I'm acutely aware that I literally haven't been to San Francisco since then. So it was one night, no, maybe 2 nights. Mom and I took a break after like a 3-4 day drive from Ontario down through the United States. And then we end up in San Fran. And then I get some pot and pick up crystals and just mooch about. And I ended up getting completely lost, but not really. I took the tram or the train back, and then for some reason got off way earlier than I should have done. And I ended up just walking aimlessly around San Francisco, but like into areas that I'm just like, yeah. As in, there's this area of San Fran where underneath there's like these main bridges, right? And then under the bridges, it's just like filled with homelessness. Human shit all over the place. So gracious love. Good to cleanse your aura. Oh, thanks, Lori. Appreciate that. So gracious love. Are you saying like San Fran's just gotten really what am I trying to say? San Fran's gotten just dumped on, basically? That kind of thing? Hi, Kurt. How are you, my friend? So, Christian, I'm hearing this not just about San Francisco, like, I'm hearing this about, like, a lot of American cities. There again, it's interesting I'm here in the UK, but I even knew from 20 years ago moving to the UK that we have this idea of what America's like, but the reality of the underbelly of America is really shady. Seattle, the same. I'm aware of it, that some of your, I guess you could say, the homelessness, the poverty is skyrocketing, right? Poor. So you think about cities like Rio de Janeiro or Mumbai. Think about the slums. And again, in a false economy, in a system of criminality, we criminalize and ostracize the poor. We ghettoize the poor, which is why. Ugh, but like this is where the American policy around all this stuff is the beast. It is the beast that we need to shine out. Heavy energy tonight. Hello, Shiki Kilibra. Soul path. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Interesting. The soul path, Akashic higher self frequency. So I came across my big, and it's large. It's almost like a similar size to like a 30 centimeter ruler. But my selenite rod, I picked it up in 2014. 2014 is when I was starting to write my manuscript for the Fearless Life Guide. 2014 is when I started speaking. 2014 is when I started to take my YouTubing more seriously. So that completely aligns with my path that selenite had. When I brought selenite into my world, my soul path was activated and my higher self frequency started to like move malaf. That's crazy. I never even knew that. There are blocks and blocks. Uh, there's another divide and conquer tactic, isn't it? So now you have like the middle and upper classes sort of not wanting to look. That's something I experienced. Again, I had my awakenings in Vancouver, and Vancouver has an area called Main and Hastings, which is just littered with poverty and drug abuse and people. And these cities are some of the most expensive, have some of the highest property in the world, and like the price of one of these fucking swanky apartments that a rich Chinese family comes over and buys so they can stay like 6 months or 2 months of the year. That amount of money on that piece of property could pretty much sort out the drug and the homelessness issue. Like this is something that I've never understood in growing up in this world. I'm like, you just have to care. I don't understand the great divide in that regard. And also I'm like, I'm somebody like, you imagine these people who acquire loads of wealth and just hoard and take and build their mansions and have to have all their cars. And I'm like, so you having all this stuff is more important than facing all of the disparity and oppression on the planet? Where the turning of the tide that we're here now experiencing and also leading the way of, that's the paradigm shift. The paradigm shift is a value system, a cosmic divine upliftment of our value system that suddenly goes, well, this is shit. And then we let somebody like Donald Trump rule the United States of America with all of his mansions and all of his fucking high tower buildings and da 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 da, which in fairness, one of his high tower buildings could again probably absolve the homelessness on the streets. One of his many, many, many high tower that probably aren't being used necessarily. I can certainly testify to that in the UK, that there are a lot of empty buildings. And I never understood. I'm like, so you have multiple properties, most of which are empty, and then you can just ignore and or look a homeless person in the street and do nothing? There again, that brings us back to the divide and conquer. Divide and conquer makes us afraid of one another. You know? And that's something I don't inherently have, and I never have. I told you about the story of me bringing somebody who was down and out, but yeah, they were drunk and they were poor and da 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 da. But I knew I still had space to house them and help them. But people don't. I don't know. There's just judgment, judgment and all this shit. Yeah, therefore providing outlets for contributing to social benefit that brings rewards of some kind to help them participate. Weirdly, weirdly though, for a lot of us, the reward or the kind of incentive is the fact that when we do good by one another, it feels good. Imagine. And that's often my own escape route, or not escape route, but like myself and clients, good friends, often if we're in a dip, at some point in the dip, you're like, all right, maybe I could just help some people out. And then, oh my God, that lifts us. It's like me going to that charity, the hospice. And I do have to go back. I've only done a couple of days, but I'm like, when I'm shitty, not really wanting to live, not feeling very much like motivation, just fucking support, smile more at people, or like just go and volunteer somewhere, or, like just help out, be of service. There's always people less privileged. There's always people less, benefited or whatever. Hmm. Tell me about this, the right. But many people still live under the reinforcement tactics for why they do things. When it comes to disciplining people, they always start from, ugh, I know. And that shifts over time to the value and pleasure of doing. Yeah. And Kurt, that kind of just reminds me of how out front we are. And I don't feel like that comes from an egoic place. Maybe it does. I'll noodle with that. But I do. I sometimes feel like we're so, i.e., living 5D, 60 and beyond or whatever, we're so kind of just here as these beams of light, like holding space for people, that I forget that there's still these processes that people are in or going under or rising out of. And that's part of us coming together and congregating, is that I am in my mind, in my kind of more scientific, rational, logical mind, I'm starting to realize there really is like a bit of we are collectively agreeing to offering humanity, our brothers and sisters, processes here. So a lot of us can testify to like getting a bit of an impact or a big suffering or a big life blowout, which peels back one veil, right? And part of me putting myself out here like this is that I find there's a lot of gobbledygook online. And I've been there too. And there's a lot of gobbledygook in person. I've been there too. But all of it between one another, we can help each other to discern, like like and I guess sometimes because of my journey, I always want to just come back to, like, if it feels good, open up to it. If it feels like somebody's slamming you, putting you down, controlling you, and ultimately manipulation, I'm starting to noodle with like discerning different vibes as well. If you just for some reason don't want to hang out with somebody, or for some reason things are feeling off, but you can't quite figure out what, that's manipulation. If you feel like stuck somewhere energetically, that's manipulation and oppression. Like someone else's energy is literally like, no, we're having a great exchange here. But like their consciousness is like, you're gonna stay right there. I want you here. It's fucked, right? But I'm like, I'm discerning the energy, not blaming and attacking people. We all exhibit these different tendencies as and when we're in need, as and when we're needing or wanting to survive, right? And as a collective, we are so hooked into the physical material tangibility that our senses see in the laws of authority. It takes a whole to shift towards metaphysical senses and self authority. Yes, it does. High-minded hopes. Chris, where's that coming from? Home free. So, Chris, I'm totally shifting into that, my friend. This has always been my point of. I've never been somebody who has a desire for like a mortgage or like owning stuff per se. And yet at this point, I'm really digging into this, anchoring my roots and like my light roots. And so I've realized that my free, like this is my home basically. And like the roots are in the earth, and my consciousness is expansive, and so it's all provided for, and so there's no need to like claim ownership. I res with that. I live out of a suitcase and a backpack. I've, been there I've ebbed and flowed in that reality. Um, I also really I sometimes rebound when I do get fixed down, I rebound. I'm feeling it happening to me as well. It's a little like, "Hur," where I've paid my rent up until the end of the summer. So up until the end of August, and then I'm like, I feel that. I feel that, like, wanting to take off, or that there's a move on the horizon, or that first I don't know, like, you just don't know, but then you're, like, getting these senses of, like, what's coming, what's happening, right? That's interesting. Being Offering a donation is actually a benevolent thing to do. Being courteous, I find, is a benevolent thing. It feels like that's more of a trigger projection onto you, to be honest. We can always noodle with these things, can't we? I mean, we're all working it out, right? No, well, because lack has nothing to do with your circumstances, does it, Rochelle? Yeah, it's important to receive crispy, like, straight up, that is, like, what I'm hardcore digging into presently is, like, I'm willing I'm willing to receive. Like, well, because so much for a lot of us, it's been this outpouring of giving, of, like, making it so good for everyone, like, doing a good job, like, being an awesome human, and da 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 da, and, like, trying to help and trying to be a nobody fucking cares. And then yeah, and then it reverses, and then you're like, "Oh, there's gotta be balance." So then we start kind of coming back to self and unity, and then find an equilibrium of the way that we give, i.e., give in a way that feels good. Hi, guys. And then be open to receive that which you are creating via your new way of being. My working life was very different before, and I worked way harder and made way less money. And and even the concept of recognition and money accumulation and all that, I don't know, that's slowly just dissolving. I'm pretty much take my life maybe 5 or 6 weeks ahead of time, and that is all. And I've set things up and realized, oh shit, I don't think I can keep that going. In a practical sense, when it comes to 3D reality and maintaining the illusion there for myself and others, I'm not interested in that at all. So it continues to open up. Easy to do both, give and receive. Yeah. Yeah. When you address your own imbalances, right? When you start to address where things don't feel imbalanced or things aren't quite right, then, i.e., when you're working with the purity of self, then all relationship can reflect that purity and also be a benevolent exchange. Benevolent exchange just means both people are giving, thus both people are able to receive, versus one being kind of shut down and unconscious, just trying to get ahead, just trying to get what they want, just trying to rat race, parasitic energy, system of control and domination, right? And then it's only through that not working. Most of us are here because a whole bunch of the things we were told should work for us didn't work. Conventional modern medical healing modalities didn't work for me. Even the whole exercise and eat right paradigm didn't work for me. Weirdly, my body type, I had to work out way less to come back into harmony. I need to feel my true intent and purpose, and to feel safe in this body, to have dominion over this body, not be dictated to by the men in my life or the society that I live in, for how I'm meant to show up in this world. And apparently that's quite radical. All this self people take the piss out of all this self-love stuff when it's legit. And that's another divide and conquer tactic of the system. Just make all this fluffy love stuff, or this feminine, divine feminine shit, just make it more shameful for people, right? Make them feel stupid for loving themselves. How dare you? How dare you actually love the being that you are? Is so egotistical, right? And you're like deep in your little heart, it's like, but I feel better. And like I want to feel better, and I can't show other people how to feel better if I don't feel better. And I'm kind of tired of being told what to do, and I'm tired of being told what to think, and I'm tired of being shamed. And on all honesty, the less one carries shame, the less you attract it. And I can see it pretty clearly as well. It's an interesting shame is an interesting emotional frequency, and it's right down there at the bottom with guilt. Shame and guilt are so, so, so very powerful um control tactics ultimately. If everyone's always guilty, it's easy to fucking control them. If everyone's ashamed of who they are, no one stands in their light, right? So those are big ones of working through. Tired of being tired. Same, I feel you, divine sight. But this is where I'm like, something's shifting now this month. Like literally tomorrow, June 16th, 16 people watching. June 16th, we're right, and like it's not just by chance that today and tomorrow, it's literally like right in the middle of our Gregorian year, and it's like falling into the new. Because same, I'm tired of being tired too, and the tiredness is quite oppressive actually, and weirdly quite surrendery, but in a like, we're done. Like I have nothing for this world, nothing to do. I'm literally just this open space of like allowing my own divinity and inspiration to guide me forth. I'm not putting any more energy into the old way, right? So it's like pure divine manifestation around like the divine life force is that which is going to manifest to continue to light the way, right? Oh, sending energy. I have lots. Oh, yay, Elf. Why do I do these things? I was there for a long time. Yeah, right. And weirdly, when you say that too, I'm like, I start to forget because I'm still in the depths in some ways, but like I'm so accepting of it that it's not in the depths the way most people maybe experience the depths because they're resistant to the depression, or they're resisting the slowing down, or they're resisting. Technically, in the world's eyes, I've just been a hardcore depressive these last 6 months. But in my world, I'm like, I need to sleep. I'm tired. I'm just this little kid that's taking care of herself to the best of her ability, like from a place of love, going, okay, you're tired, honey, sleep. You're like, okay, yeah. You just learn how learn how to noodle and take care of yourself. Yeah, Kurt Mill. So that's another, I guess, like for me, the realization of new paradigm living, the more and more of us who live here, as in it's the truth, it's what we choose. So this Kurt comment, if people start reclaiming self-authority, which we are all doing, we're proclaiming our sovereignty, and then working together. So I imagine a lot of us collaborating, co-creating in our various pockets of the world, bringing people together, healing, loving, blah blah. And then self-realize working together, and the self-realization and purposeful living becomes way easier, right? Because we then have a substantial field to show other, since you're no longer someone that, because you're like, it's like that thing of manifestation, unless you care about people, the more they like, what are you doing over there? The more of us that are congregating and start amplifying. Now it's happening in waves all the time, everywhere. All of this stuff that we talk about, there's other communities living it, realizing it, doing it. We're just like another wave and another wave, and there's just infinite waves, right? And really there is no time in that regard. So the truth that for me, that truthful recognition is like, once we all drop into closer in alignment stages, then the entirety of us will be in alignment. Thus will be co-creating in alignment with the earth. It's self-understanding via the depth. That's know thyself. The truth shall set you free. Thine is the kingdom. Thine for the self-created, self-sovereign, and soul sovereign. That is the legit truth. And so everyone starts to anchor that into self, and then that's a co-creative harmonic, i.e., that is a new paradigm tribe community that can unfold that creative outpouring, i.e., no more hoarding. But there is always going to be a benevolent exchange among new paradigm communities for the new earth. And that has very much linked into these pillars of light, these domes of light that are starting to get bigger and bigger all over the world. I like that emoticon off. I know, isn't it juicy? Declaring sovereignty. Mm. Rochelle, yeah, you're awesome. I love I love your angles of things. You're right. So that what I would say Rachel's comment there, I struggle with declaring sovereignty because isn't it assumed? Yes. However, sometimes in the mind battle phase, it's important. We may have to. I still do this in manifestation. I claim my truth. I have to repeat it over for me to feel it and embody it. And you're right. In the truth, it's like the truth shall set you free. And in fact, we're all already healed. So that's the weird flip of like our healing circles is that if we're projecting others to not be healed, we're actually perpetuating illness and suffering rather than just seeing everyone as a perfect divine being that's already healed. Thus, we're already living in the new. So, yes, in essence, it's just that we must behave in accordance with divine law, which is right action, which is thus the sovereignty piece. Sovereignty only aligns itself in the heart of unity. But when you live in the heart of unity, of course, it's assumed because you would only act in divine grace from the sovereign self, because the sovereign self lives in unity with the whole. Yeah, creating that. You claim it, you state it. hmm Susanna, I like that. That's quite clever. The difference between truth and fiction is fiction needs to make sense. Right, right. So fiction needs to make sense from a linear, limited mental perspective. So those you can see that limited mental, it's like chopping bits of us up and then projecting that as the reality, right? Identity is just a structure to work with 100%, and we're constantly structuring and restructuring, right? We're structuring and restructuring. We're taking down structures, we're building it back up. We're taking it down, we're building it back up, right? Hey, Awaken. Yeah, hey, Yoki Seeds. All right, you guys, I think I'm gonna wind her down now. I love our morning chats. I really do. I almost didn't go live, then I just couldn't stop myself. I'm like, bah. Okay. I appreciate you guys. I love you loads. Feel free to reach out if you want to book a session. Sessions do cost £100 an hour, but I'm pretty chilled about if people just don't have that kind of money, you can just book with you can pay a £25 deposit, and there we go. We'll have a chat. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, come to Morocco, you guys. And come to Morocco if you want to for a full 10 days rather than just 5 days, but join me on the retreat as well. Obviously. Or not, or just come out for 10 days and we can hang out either side of the retreat. I would love to meet you guys. I know that there's probably a good chunk of you that I'll meet in Kauai with Karen from Clear Retreats. And yeah, I just have so much love for you guys, and really like just like severe, like not severe, but like this proper human to human over the years and months now. I feel like for some of you, I've really kind of gotten to know you just from your presence here, and like I'm really thankful. You're like some besties that like I wasn't even sure existed at one point in my life, and now we get to have chats and coffee every morning and like somewhat understand each other. Like for a lot of us off these remote areas of the world, be like, why is everybody like that? And then you guys get me. And a lot of you share some really awesome information with me, so I appreciate it. And just from one self to another self, I'm like, I bring you peace. And also, I see all of humanity rising and us living in harmony. I'm like, come on, we can do that. We are doing it. We are doing this life and we are making this love. So thank you for the blessing. And stop talking. Mouse, MJ, MJ, MJ. Oh, totally, Kurt. Christian Guerra. Honestly, MJ chats on Netflix. So why not? I mean, that would be legit cool, wouldn't it? Maybe I could sell more products so that I could give more freedom to people. Like literally that's like the legit inner child truth of it, right? I'm like, can't we just do what they did and like siphon all the money from offshore banks that aren't being used and are just being hoarded by the wealthiest people on the planet? Can't we just siphon all that money and be like la 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 and like give it away to people? I'm like, wouldn't that be so fun? And then everybody would just there we go. Idealistic, right? Yes. Oh, you guys, Netflix, here we go. Um, but I agree, Kurt, and I really enjoy the healthy cynics for all of us. I consider myself one as well. I was always sitting at the back of those like spiritual circles, or even like when I went to A Fest, I was always like at the back, like observing these people, being like, "What is legit and what is not legit?" I'm like, question everything, my friends. Because question everything, because remember, you're the truth and the way. You're more powerful than anything you see or perceive outside of you. You are the truth. You are the power. You are the one whole being of love. Okay, you guys. Oh, is that what it is? The strawberry moon. Well, look, I'm wearing red. I made this beautiful, not that it's strawberry, but I made this really beautiful tomato stew the other day and I had it with some gnocchi. It was lovely. Lori, Robin Hood. Have you guys, were any of you guys like totally obsessed with that movie? I literally watched it like hundreds of times as a child with Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There's a moment near the end where like Robin's being the hero, and Maid Marian simply screams from the balcony, Robin! That is my favorite movie. Or sorry, what I meant to say was that was my favorite like moment in all movies of all time. I'm like, I want to be Maid Marian just to do that scene, like scream from the top. And there we go. There is how all of us women were programmed to expect and wait and believe that there is like some hero coming to save us. No wonder so many women are terribly disappointed with their relationships, but hey ho, I'm sure men are as well. Are we all a little bit disappointed with life, but then working on up leveling ourselves so that we too become the Robin Hoods, the heroes, the maidens, and just get to fucking live free? My God, it's not that difficult. So I'm proper rambling. I'm sure you can all appreciate this. MJ said she was going to cut her down like 55 minutes ago. I'm still talking for life, for England, and for the lovers of this world. Thank you, you guys. Oh, God. Sometimes I don't know why or what it is, but just looking down, we are the heroes. I'm like, we actually are. Like, we actually are. Oh, yeah. Titanic, come back. Come back. Jack. Jack. Come back. Oh my God. I really need to go, you guys. I'm feeling generous with emotes. OMG. Do you remember yesterday when I just randomly, for no reason whatsoever, wanted to take my top off? It just happened again. So I'm going to go, you guys. I don't know what. Yes, Falcon. Falcon. Shahad. Dun, 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 dun. Oh my God. This is the delirium phase where I swear to God, you guys are just like rocking out, being like, when's she gonna go? She's gonna go soon. I'm like, I'm not sure. Because I'm just like, I'm still dancing and I'm still here. But I'm like, there's this little bit of delirium where I'm pretty sure you guys just like, you make me go a little bit crazy, but in a really beautiful way. Is it like the inner child shit? Probably. There's somebody being like, there's the inner child of everyone. Like, huh? Also, because like when you're a little kid, i.e. a little girl, there's no problem with taking your top off. Boys and girls are the same. So obviously there's like a little kid in me who's just like, I need to get out of these tight restricted clothings. So not like me, honestly. But anywho, there. Thank you, Elf. Thank you for bringing it back down to the ground. Yes, darling, it's your inner child. Okay, thank you. I love you guys. That was in response to the status quo thing. Oh man, I just love you guys. I'm wishing you a glorious evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you be, wherever you are in this infinite space. There's nothing but love for you here. Thanks, guys. I love you, and I can't wait to speak to you soon. PB and banana love, PB and jelly love, and just some coffee love for you guys wherever you are. Hugs. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, Alf. I almost forgot. Virtual hugs. Virtual hugs. You guys, I love you. Have an awesome day, and I'll speak to you soon, you guys. Take care. Peace out.